because when this ends, you'll get a chance to get some ice cream and some candy. In the cafeteria. So, to our invited guests, really we'd love to thank you for your support. For the seniors, this will be one of the last programs that your parents can come to support you. Of course, we'll have the academic banquet at the end of the year, and we hope to see all of our parents at that as well. This is a very special event because it is inclusive and includes all of our students in grades 9 through 12. Very often when we're doing these kinds of programs, we concentrate on the upperclassmen. Another thing I want to explain to you is how the GPAs determine the valedictorians, the salutatorians, and the top 10 students in each class. It is always set at the semester. I actually had a senior say to me, so this will really be determined in May. No, it's determined in December because that is when our semester ends. And so for the seniors, there is no way to change the outcome of the top 10. For everybody else, you still have an opportunity, although it is highly unusual for people to have a lot of movement in the top 10. It has happened, but not usually. But just keep in mind that the GPAs, as in every school district, is set at the semester. We want our students to remain respectful throughout the program. We don't want any cheering until all the names in a particular group has been called. If you cheer after every name, we're still going to be here long after 4 o'clock. And the person's name after that name is not going to be heard clearly. And everybody deserves to have his or her name heard as clearly as the name spoken previously. So once all the categories are done, by each category, you can then show everybody how much you appreciate what they've done and what they've accomplished. Something interesting has happened for the first time at this school. In 2 classes, we have multiple students who are number 1. I don't know if it'll stay that way or the students will pull apart. It's not actually the first time. It actually happened a few years ago. 2 girls kind of stayed together, and then there was a boy who was number 2. This was actually, was Robert last year? 2 years ago? But I always had a sneaking suspicion the boy was going to pull ahead of both of them, and he did. And his dad always said to me, he wants to be number 1. How can he be number 1? He's getting all A's. Well, at one point he didn't. He got an A- when the 2 girls got all A's. But I said to him, if Robert continues to get all A's, the only way he is going to move in the top 10 or become valedictorian is if one of the girls will make a mistake. He's doing everything perfectly at this point, and so the last semester of the junior year, one made a mistake. And then he also took courses that carried more weight. For example, maybe those girls had classes that were worth 4 points, and he may have had classes that were worth 5 points, like 5 credit hours versus 4. So that's going to be an A that carries more weight when it's calculated into the GPA. And then in the first semester of the senior year, the second girl made a mistake and got an A-. That is how tight the GPAs were. And they're really, really tight again this year. That was one of our most competitive classes, that class that graduated 2 years ago. We are going to start out by acknowledging the top 10 in the freshman class. When you come on stage, and you should do that when your name is called, the secretary is going to help you get information. You're going to look like you're kind of in squads, okay? So we're going to begin that now. The GPAs for freshmen range from 3.72 to 4.0. And please come forward quickly when I call your name. Beginning with student number 10, Emma Hansen. Hold your applause, please. Next, we have Destiny Kite. She's number 9. Number 5 is Tess Kinsley. Number 4 is, and number 1 is Tala Abu Danesh. GPA, and even though they may remain valedictorian throughout the entire 4-year high school experience, usually the GPA will drop a little bit. It may become a 3.9 or 3.95, but normally it will not stay at a 4.0. However, that is not the case with this current valedictorian. We'll begin with number 10, however, with Tanner Whitaker. Number 9 is Michaela White.
You got it?
I want to tell you why Michaela isn't here. She has a special internship through ProMedica, and it is through our STEM program, and it's a very, very unique opportunity, and it is preparing her for her chosen career in the medical industry. So we are really proud that she can't be with us today, in fact, because she is fulfilling those obligations. Okay, Matthew Wilson. Matthew is number 8.
Don't bother going up there.
Tom Smith. It's number 7. Number 6 is Jacqueline Chapin. Number 5 is Benjamin Corey. Stephen Kinsel. Bailey Henderson. She's number 3. We had a lot of movement in this class. We had students move from number 2 to number 4, and number 4 to number 3, and number 3 to number 2. So we had more movement in this class than we've ever had before. And our number 2 student actually moved the most, Ariel White. And our valedictorian with the 4.0 GPA is Hala Abu Danesh. To have our students remain on stage during the duration of the program. And at this time, Mr. Tierney is filling in for Mrs. Al Hayini, our National Honor Society advisor, and he is going to talk to you about all the students here who qualify for that based on GPA, including our freshmen if they maintain that GPA.
Hi, everybody. On behalf of Ms. Al-Hayani, the National Honor Society advisor, I'll talk to you about rules of eligibility for induction into the National Honor Society. After the first semester of their junior year, students with a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher will have met the scholarship portion of eligibility for the Toledo Early College High School chapter of the National Honor Society. In order for students to complete the service, character, and leadership portion of eligibility for NHS, they must create individually or in groups of 3 a Speak Truth to Power documentary that highlights human rights issues domestically or globally. The documentaries will be entered into a national contest. NHS students will also provide peer tutoring to students to fulfill their commitment for eligibility into the National Honor Society. An evening ceremony honoring the National Honor Society students will be held in April. Parents and siblings will be invited to celebrate this honor. We want our freshmen to know from their first year what it takes to be eligible for the National Honor Society. It is a huge honor.
You know, the Syrian war has been going on still, and it's in its 4th year next month. Currently, 2 million refugees, half of which are children, are spread out throughout the Middle East and Europe. And if you've watched the news lately, you've seen the terrible conditions they've been living in. This number is expected to be 4 million by the end of 2014. Conditions are worsening and thousands are starving to death. Last year when we did the clothing drive, we got 50 boxes of clothing, thanks to you guys, so please give yourself a round of applause. We'll be starting the clothing collection again over spring break, and it's going through the Syrian Sunrise Foundation as we did last time, and the text Young Women for Change. Keep these people in mind over spring break as you do spring cleaning or winter cleaning as it might be, because it's about to snow Sunday. And please make donations when we come back from spring break. Thank you. And Stephen Kinzel's mom has an announcement about a fundraiser that's going to happen.
Hi everyone, before everyone goes home, we have a few things that we'd like to pass out. On March 21st, we're having a casino night, and I'd like everyone to pick up one of these red flyers. If parents can take them into work, maybe try to sell some of the tickets. The tickets for the casino night are going to be $25 in advance, $30 at the door. It's going to be at Line Drive Sports at the Toledo Rec Center. And it's going to include a meal, and you'll get chips that you can gamble with. You cannot win cash prizes. What you do is at the end of the night, people will turn in the chips for tickets to win. You put in like drawings for different prizes that we have. We're still collecting prizes, and we really need everyone to sell as many tickets as possible. So I want everyone to pick up the red things to put wherever you can to get as many people to buy the tickets. All the students, we will have tables down there set up that you can pick up 10 tickets each to sell, kind of like you did for the Christmas Wonderland thing. And I think it's the advisory class. The advisory class that sells the most tickets to the event will be awarded a catered lunch party. And when you sell the tickets, there's a line on the ticket that says sold by, so they can keep track of who's selling what tickets. And thank you.
Before we dismiss, I want to talk to one member of each class that's represented here on stage. So Ariel, can you come over for a second? I want you to take the microphone for a moment just to talk to some of our underclassmen about what you had to do to move up in your class ranking and how much work you have been doing since your freshman year. Is it like 15 minutes a night? Is it an hour a night? How much work does it take to be successful?
Didn't know I had to talk, so don't blame me if I sound unprepared. I started off as tied for 4th in my class my freshman year. So, and she always said what she did about not moving up. So I didn't really think I would get to salutatorian, 2nd place. But I tried hard anyway, because what good would it do to just give up? And I work really hard for all my classes. A lot of people will, like, if they see that an assignment isn't that important, no, it's only worth 5 points, it's not that big a deal. I do it anyway because that's what makes the big difference at the end. And I schedule a lot of time. Like when I think about how my day is going to go, I spend multiple hours usually at night doing homework. But that also has to do with how many classes I'm in, so don't freak out or anything. Because I have a full-time college schedule and a high school class, and I'm working on scholarship applications, so there's kind of it's a full plate. But you kind of have to hope for it, even if you don't think you're gonna move up that much, because I didn't, but I still worked hard and tried. Really, you just kind of have to try for yourself, because I thought, well, even if I don't get to first or second place, at least I'll know that, you know, I did good in high school, and it'll look good when I apply to college. And that ended up moving me up to second place anyway, and now I get to say I'm salutatorian and make a speech at graduation, which is pretty cool.
All right, go ahead.
So just do your work and try hard and hope and stuff.
Thank you, Ariel. I remember when I first told Ariel what her ranking was like her freshman year and her sophomore year, and I was trying to congratulate her, and she was like really hostile. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And she was really disappointed in her ranking, and that's why she worked really hard to improve it. So let's pick on a boy, Gonzalo. It takes you to complete homework, and what is your formula for getting good grades? Stop pretending you're shy.
Okay. She didn't tell me about this earlier. So, it doesn't really take, well...
Careful.
Don't
say it doesn't take a lot of work, because it does.
It does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of being what I say is responsible, going to class every single day when some people are like, oh, we should skip class, but you, being the responsible person that you are, drag them by the hair and taking class. I don't know what else to say.
How many hours do you put in on assignments? Do you put in a lot?
It just depends on, like, if it's a college class, I put in a little bit more, because that, not to say that, it's important, but I put in more time for my college classes because, well, they kind of count a bit more.
That's fine.
Okay.
And one of the things that I don't want are staged comments or things that you think people want to hear. You need to really be honest about how you got to where you are. So now I'm turning my attention. Oh, Chase, I see you looking
Alright, no one told me there was going to be a test. I didn't study for this.
Well, talk about the very first experience you had with not getting the top grade.
Okay, so when I first came here, basically, I didn't think it was going to be this time-consuming. Back in my old school, I didn't have to really study a lot for the tests. So when I had my first science test, I didn't do the best on it. So imagine, I saw it. I was a little bit disappointed. But anyway, after that, I took things a lot more seriously. I started studying more. I started trying to plan out my week to try to figure out what I'm going to do assignments to make sure I don't fall behind, because there is a lot of big projects they give us, such as NHD and Malark and things of that nature. So it's best try to do your work ahead of time and not get behind, so you don't feel crammed and you don't have to rush to get work done, which is always not a good thing, because then you don't get a good grade on it.
And since we have more than one person tied for the #1 spot in the sophomore class, we are going to pick on someone else.
Brittany.
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 Yeah, Brittany's cell phones, listen to music, and do a lot of other things, and they don't really realize to what degree that's slowing them down when they're trying to get work done. So clearing all distractions is a great idea. Okay? I think I'll pick 3 people from the freshman class because 3 are tied. Okay, I hear you. Tophet, come on over. So he's going to tell you honestly how much homework he does every night to be in a 3-way tie for number 1. 2-way is a freshman, 2-way sophomores 3. Thank you, sophomores.
Jen?
Okay, homework I do. Well, each night I have my own routine about how I do my homework. I always, whenever I do anything, I want to start off with science, with Mr. Boland, because that, in my opinion, takes the longest. 12 web quests and labs and everything, and that takes around 2 hours. And then after that, I go straight to English, because we have to write essays and other stuff. And that takes me like 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. And then I go straight to Miss Al's homework for World Studies, if you have Mr. Nissen. And that takes me around 1 hour or 2, depending on assignment. And then I go straight on to Mr. Shawer's work when I have it. And I try to do it all at once, because Mr. Shawer gives you this, like this paper, giving you all your homework for the section. Try to finish that all in 1 day. It might take you 2 hours, but it's worth it, because like for me in Mr. Shawer's class, the first test I took in it, I got a 92, and ever since that, it has been fully redemption, because so from a 92, I freaked out because I thought I was going to become like 20th place in the class. So ever since that, I've been like studying it crazily so I can get as high as I can, and here I am.
Gosh, who needs redemption for 92%? Okay, Madison. Come on, Madison.
I'd say I'm successful because I always put 110% in everything I do. I'll be honest, before I came here, I was probably the queen of procrastination, and this school changed that about me. I don't spend 6 hours on homework a night, but I do spend quite a few hours a night. I always put a lot of effort into everything I do. I ask questions, I stay after school and work on my NHD, and I feel like if I don't try, then what's the point? And so, obviously, I've tried well enough in order to get in the top 10, and I'm pretty proud of that. So, keep trying and do your best.
And then the final person I want to pick is Laura Britt. I think she's so surprised because I know her name.
Okay. Well, kind of like Maddie said, before I came here, I was kind of a procrastination person. But I think here you have to work, you have to put a lot of effort into it. It has to be like you're all feeling for homework. And you might not think that it's going to help now, it's going to be great, but in the future, when you get older, those grades are going to count. And so I think about that, and then I do my work, and I study for very long periods of time to do my work.
So here's what we're going to do. When I first started this tradition, we were supposed to have ice cream and cake, and then it turned into cupcakes. And Mr. Dunham and Miss Cole went to get the cupcakes and ice cream, and the cupcakes were frozen. So Mr. Dunham decided, well, let's do candy. So they came back and they said, we have ice cream and candy. And I said, that doesn't even go together. Well, the kids really ate it up. That's what they wanted. And so we've done that every year ever since. We've never gone to the cupcakes. Although I kind of tried to go this year, Mr. Nissen said, shook his head no. So we had to go with the candy. You and I wanted the cupcakes.
I had my
Yeah, you did. So what we're going to do is we're going to, at this point, release by sections, and we need everybody to be quiet as he or she, and this would include adults, are walking down the hall because you're going to pass a testing site that is in use. What I'm going to do is dismiss the students who are on stage first. Mr. Haycraft and Ms. Storm, they're going to give you direction and help you get down the hall quietly. So let's start with the seniors. Your parents are free to join you as well. Parents can join all of the students who are on stage. Just please go as quietly as you can.
They don't fix money if they lose these, right? Like,
We do want the tickets back. We don't necessarily need to hold money for it.
because that's what we did with our charge up for lost tickets. Like, are we doing that?
We want them back. We don't sell them. And if we don't sell them, we better not find anyone with them.
But are they charged for tickets? We don't do that.
I don't know. Yes. Yes. Hello, good mother. It's a little bit wonderful time. When they said, like, Steven's mom.
She didn't know that?
No. Till today. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I think you're going to see it.
Proud that she can't be with us today, in fact, because she is fulfilling those obligations. Okay, Matthew Wilson. Matthew is number 8.
Don't bother following. I'm going out there.
Tom Smith. It's number 7. Number 6 is Jacqueline Shepard. Number 5 is Benjamin Horry. Stephen Kinsel. Bailey Henderson. She's number 3. We had a lot of movement in this class. We had students moved from number 2 to number 4, and number 4 to number 3, and number 3 to number 2. So we had more movement in this class than we've ever had before. And our number 2 student actually moved the most, Ariel White. And our valedictorian with the 4.0 GPA is Hala Abu Danesh. We are going to have our students remain on stage during the duration of the program. And at this time, Mr. Tierney is filling in for Mrs. Al Hayini, our National Honor Society advisor. And he is going to talk to you about all the students here who qualify for that based on GPA, including our freshmen if they maintain that GPA.
Isn't that how you turn it off?
Go ahead. I'll talk to you about rules of eligibility for induction into the National Honor Society. After the first semester of their junior year, students with a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher will have met the scholarship portion of eligibility for the Toledo Early College High School chapter of the National Honor Society. In order for students to complete the service, character, and leadership portion of eligibility for NHS, they must create individually or in groups of 3 a Speak Truth to Power documentary that highlights human rights issues domestically or globally. The documentaries will be introduced for national contest. NHS students will also provide future learning skills to build their commitment for eligibility to the National Honor Society. The evening ceremony honoring the National Honor Society students will be held in April. Parents and siblings will be invited to celebrate this honor. We want our freshmen to know from their first year what it takes to be eligible for the National Honor Society. It is a huge honor. That said, I would like to name all students who have a minimum 3.0 GPA, reminding our underclassmen to keep up the good work and strive to maintain or improve your through your high school years. As I announce your name, beginning with seniors, please stand and remain standing until all names are read. Okay, seniors first. Natalie Thompson, 3.40. Eric Bell, Alfonso Zapata, Nathaniel Floyd, Arlo Cunningham, Justin Sutherland, Patricia Jones, Elad Bryant, Nemo Vasquez, and Sandy Glenn. Juniors, Tristan Brooks, Kristen Bowerman, Asha Salih, Linnell Horton, Casey Kimball, Noel Rourke, Justine Rice, Takia Mahdi, and Nate Hicks. Congratulations. Sophomores, Yi Lu, Chloe Vogel, Aaron Garcia, Sarah Liu, Bailey Lustig, Jade Evans, Logan Green, Adam Montecure, Kiana Cole, Ahmad Al-Sayouf, and Isis Walker. Congratulations. number 2. Emma Hansen, Kaylee Kimball, Brysa Ham, Stephen Thomas, Rodney Farthing, Alyssa Zweifel, Kendall Edwards, Mackenzie Brogan, Wala Kanan, Taylor Yao, Emily Shawn, Callie Essen Carter, Draina Armstrong, Dawn Smithers, Lila Shahada, Jacob Wolf, Caitlin Grachik, Alicia Sawyers, Emily Bettinger, Cody Beck, Jacqueline Herrera, and Jackie Covington. Congratulations.
I want to point out this time to our freshmen some honorable mentions. Some students are really, really close, and maybe if you just turned in one of those 2 assignments you didn't turn in, or you worked a little harder and got an A instead of a B, you would also have had your name read. And I'm telling you this just to give you some encouragement. One year I told a student he was at a 2.9 and he was really surprised that he was so close. And if he had known that, he said he would have worked a little harder. So we have some honorable mentions from the freshman class. We have Alexis Aguilar. Where's Alexis? Stand, Alexis. I actually almost said the last name of the boxer you were named for. I did. Well, he was one of my favorites. Next, we have Juliet Dix, Patrick Mazie, Shayla Trotter, and those are our honorable mention students from the freshman class. We also have some honorable mentions for our sophomore class to Della Gibson and Asia Reddick. And for our juniors, honorable mentions are Nathaniel Hicks, Muhammad Gerard, just 2. And for the seniors, the honorable mentions are Tamar Pope, Daniel Brown, Joseph Kennard. That's it. So I want to encourage you when Ms. L sends out the applications for National Honor Society that you do follow through with those things, and that is a very important honor. That program is going to be held in mid-April. And so I'm especially encouraging you, if you get notice that you are eligible as a junior and that you can continue on as a senior, or for the first time as a senior, to please go ahead and complete the paperwork and the project that's associated with getting into the National Honor Society. It will be something that you can list on a job, and talk about in a job interview, as well as on college applications. We have about 205 students, and more than half of those students' names were read today. And so I think that is a huge accomplishment for the school. So for our entire student body, let's have a round of applause. So for our parents who are here, how many brought their volunteer logs? Good. Okay, when we dismiss, you will get a chance to get that signed by our secretary, Ms. Wilson. She is going to be in the cafeteria area. We are going to dismiss by section, and then we're going to report to the cafeteria for dessert. But before we do that, we have an announcement from Hala, who is president of our class of 2014.
So who's ready for spring break? Okay, you guys, I wish I didn't have to make this announcement, but unfortunately I do. As you guys probably know, the Syrian war has been going on still, and it's in its 4th year next month. Currently, 2 million refugees, half of which are children, are spread out throughout the Middle East and Europe. And if you've watched the news lately, you've seen the terrible conditions they've been living in. This number is expected to be 4 million by the end of 2014. Conditions are worsening and thousands are starving to death. Last year when we did the clothing drive, we got 50 boxes of clothing, thanks to you guys, so please give yourself a hand. We'll be starting the clothing collection again over spring break, and it's going through the Syrian Sunrise Foundation as we did last time, and the text Young Women for Change. Keep these people in mind over spring break as you do spring cleaning or winter cleaning, as it might be, because it's about to snow Sunday. And please make donations.
Strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate.
Smile.
Before you go.